Good morning to everyone. We will start the OIC's lecture. OIC is the International Organization of Conscientiotherapy, and today the lecture has as a theme, Consciential Authenticity. I am Regina Esterman, volunteer and conscientiotherapist at OIC. Remembering that you can ask questions through the chat, and I will try to answer them during the presentation. Before we start the theme itself, let us give some important information. OIC activities do not replace or eliminate potential medical or psychological needs. The institution recommends, whenever it proves necessary, to seek out qualified health professionals for the specific attendances accredited by official boards. OIC does not indicate nominatively any specialist. Here we have the principle of disbelief, do not present in all the OIC activities. Do not believe in anything, not even in what we inform in this activity. Experiment, have your own personal experiences. Therefore, it's important that each one reaches their conclusions, for example, of what is said in this lecture through their own experiences. Conscientiotherapy, as the name says, is the therapy of the consciousness based on consciential paradigm, a paradigm used by conscientiology, a new science that researchers or studies the consciousness. It means each one of us. And this new science was founded in 1988 by the doctor and the researcher Valdo Vieira. Conscientiotherapy brings a new approach to the consciousness, considering, therefore, the following premises. Focus on consciential paradigm, considering these premises. The first one, multidimensional or multidimensionality, that is, consciousness manifests themselves in various dimensions, not only in this one, where we call intraphysical dimension, but also in others that are extraphysical dimensions. This occurs, for example, when we sleep and we leave this physical body. And this is a phenomenon that we call projection of the consciousness. It's a paraphysiological phenomenon. It's common to all of us. And in this phenomenon or in this manifestation in astrophysical dimensions, we can be lucid or not. And the lucidity can be developed or improved through practice or through applying some techniques. So when we leave this dimension, or when we die, or when we desomate, desoma is a concept, is a name that we use in conscientiology, that means the activation of the soma or the activation of the body, desoma. So we will start, when we desomate, we will start to manifest ourselves in other dimensions. Bioenergetic, that's is also important to say that we interact, these dimensions interact with each other all the time, although sometimes we are not aware of this. And this interaction occurs through our vibratory energy pattern. It means to our thoughts, sentiments, and energy. And we can influence these dimensions, and we can be influenced by them. Bioenergetic, one of the components of the universe are energies. And according to this paradigm, we have energetic body or energetic soma that we call energosoma. It's a soma made up of the chakras, and we exchange energy through it. We absorb energy from the nature, immanent energy, and we transform this energy into consciential energy. It means we give a quality to this energy to our docent. It's an acronym of the three words thoughts, sentiments, and energies. The next one, multivehicular or multivehicularity, that is, we use to manifest ourselves for bodies or for somas, or for vehicles of manifestation, as we name in conscientiology, physical, energetic, emotional, and mental, and we name them as soma, energosoma, psychosoma, and mental soma. These bodies interact with each other, so that's important that these bodies, these vehicles work in a coherent and balanced way. This is also part of our authentic manifestation. We can say that the more they are coherent, the more the consciousness becomes authentic. Multi-existential, sorry, or multi-existentiality. We have several existences before this one, and we will have others in the future, considering that each consciential principle is in a process of evolution. We were born in this intraphysical dimension. We have a time here, and then we will die, or we will deactivate this body, go into another dimension, where we pass through the intermissive period until we resonate again. So we have this cycle, multi-existential cycle. We manifest ourselves in extraphysical dimensions and then intraphysical dimension, and this is an evolutive cycle. So it's important and it's still interesting that we use or we enjoy each period as or that we consider each period as an evolutionary opportunity. Cosmoethics, it's a greater ethic present in the cosmos. It's the cosmic, multidimensional morality situated beyond the intraphysical morality, the social morality, which governs the evolution of the universe. And this is a concept or an attribute that we understand how it works gradually according to our experiences, our maturity, our learnings, changes, recycles, and interassistance we do in our daily basis. Self-CONSCIENTIOTHERAPY uses a model to assist the evolutionary consciousness therapy process called a self-CONSCIENTIOTHERAPY cycle, which comprises the following phases: self-investigation, self-diagnosis, self-confrontation, and self-overcoming. Self-investigation is the first one, when the consciousness analyzes, observers, investigates themselves, their actions, reactions, intentions, the way to think. And doing this investigation, the consciousness can identify some diagnosis or give a name at what they observed, they investigated. And having a diagnosis, they start to plan some methods, apply some techniques, do some actions in order to confront this diagnosis that the consciousness identified as an unevolutive diagnosis. So doing this confrontation, the consciousness can overcome this diagnosis or attenuate or eliminate this diagnosis. And when the consciousness achieve this condition, they gain a plus of energy, achieve self-confidence, self-esteem, to restart a new cycle with another diagnosis or going deeper to the diagnosis that they did before. Yeah. Only to complete these phases can the slide before. Okay, these phases are presented here in a sequential way, but they can happen simultaneously. But we present it like this for a more didactic understanding. Okay, thank you. So here we have the main topics of the lecture today. Authentic manifestation and intraconsciential coherence, evolutionary benefits of cosmoethic authenticity, qualifying the authenticity of consciential expression. So here we have the definition of consciential authenticity made by the conscienciology researcher Tony Moscoff. He is a researcher of this subject and the author of a book with the same title. Consciential authenticity is the quality, condition, or character of authentic consciousness, capable of revealing its own intraconsciential reality and the reality of facts and parafacts to themselves and to other consciousness. We consider this concept here in a conscienciological approach, and we can say that consciential authenticity is achieved gradually by the consciousness when they no longer has anything to hide, for example, actions, emotions, thoughts, intentions, not for them, neither for themselves nor for others, when they are no longer more afraid to see themselves, to know themselves as they really are. For example, we can think, if you do not know how our difficulties are, our weak traits, our consciential diseases, how can we be authentic? So conscientiotherapy, for example, help us to identify these points and to achieve this condition. We are talking here about consciential authenticity. I suggest we can start to making a counterpoint, or it means talking about inauthenticity, that we can broaden the understand about the theme. Inauthenticity is common in daily basis. People in general tend to cover up mistakes, to conceal what they think or the intentionality of their actions, sometimes with the purpose to defend or to protect the self-image. A reason also of inauthentic manifestation is the lack of self-knowledge. What I say, what I mean. People in general do not know who they are, what they really want in life, what they are doing here. So the proposal is to think about the authenticity manifested by the consciousness under the consciential paradigm. What I want to say, Many times we realize that we have a purpose to be here, that we have something to accomplish, but we are swallowed up by the intraphysical maintenance, demands and values of the society, sometimes by conditionings related to our mesology or education, and so that we divide from our goals. So the idea is to approach this topic also in relation to how authentic are we being with ourselves as a consciousness in evolution, or recognizing ourselves in this condition or in this process. For example, what are my evolutionary value? Qualified authenticity is a value, is evolutionary value for me, for example. So I think we can understand our consciential authenticity also as a prophylaxis for meline and malexis. What's meline? Meline is intraphysical melancholia, malex extraphysical melancholia. So we can think, if you have participated in an intermissive course, if you did an intermissive course, and if you have programmed something to do here, now, in this intraphysical dimension where we are now, so the more authentic we are in relation to this program, the less the possibility of feeling frustrated or self-disappointed when we leave this intraphysical life or when we dissomate. Okay? So, before we address the evolutionary benefits of consciential authenticity, let us talk about a little or approach some anti-cosmoethical or inauthentic manifestation of the consciousness. A criticism as the first one. Of course, there are others. I select some here, but there are others. That is the person who has a low self-criticism, low self-perception, low self-cognition. Often the lack of criticism acts a defense mechanism of the ego. That is, when the person doesn't want to recognize or face things they dislike, for example, traits, behaviors, postures, habits, or sometimes when the consciousness wants to avoid external criticism, and in this way they keep the idealized image protected. So in summary, the person who doesn't know themselves well, or doesn't want to develop self-criticism, and confront the real image. An example could be a perfectionist, for example, who does not accept making mistakes or has difficulty to recognize and assuming limitations. So they prefer not to see these aspects, to confront these aspects in themselves. Hiding is also an anti-cosmoethical self-defense, in which the person hides traits and behaviors as not to be criticized, evaluated, judged, as I told you before, and not showing their fragilities or vulnerabilities. But in this way, the person is aware of these weak traits and doesn't want to show them. So this posture opens doors to self-intrusion, and also to be manipulated. We can't forget that in relation to multidimensionality, nothing is hidden. So it's not good to act in this way. And hiding can also have the intention to not to show the potentialities, the other hand, not to show the strong traits, the potentialities. In this way, the consciousness not take responsibility for their evolution and for their strong traits. Manipulation, an inauthentic person uses this mechanism or manipulation to get what they want, or to use people or situation to their advantage, or sometimes they have pseudo gains using this manifestation, and when the consciousness use or allow it to be manipulated, they allow it also others to make choices for them. This is, for example, some examples. If someone tries to convince me about something, or if someone tries to blame me, putting myself in a victim position, and I accept, and I victimize myself, or I put myself in this condition too. So there are ways to be manipulated. Yes, pusillanimity is the next one. It's a behavior in which the person doesn't assume their opinion, their own opinion, or the way to think, sometimes because they don't want to disagree with others, or don't want to put themselves in conflict or in confront with others. So they avoid to taking a position, and they keep sitting on the fence. Maybe an example, people who avoid to take a position because they think they need to please others to be accepted. So they prefer to maintain a neutral position, or not take a real position in order not to disagree or to be rejected. Self-corruptibility, the inauthentic person in general is self-corruptible because they contradict themselves. They know that acting in a certain way is anti-cosmoethical, it's not good for them, but they prefer to maintain the corruptible behavior sometimes because they have a pseudo gain. An example, the person who smokes, the person knows that this habit is not good for their health, but they prefer to keep this pseudo pleasure. And self-intrusion, when a person acts in an inauthentic way, they are in conflict with themselves, trying to maintain a false image before the external, which image does not match with the real image, and this generates incoherences or incoherence, insecurity, conflicts, and consequently self-intrusion. Next one. So in this slide we have important aspects that are interesting to pay attention whether we want to qualify or maximize our consciential authenticity. We emphasize here 3 expressions: self-discernment, cosmoethic intentionality, and transparent positioning. Self-discernment, it is the personal ability to understand situations and facts clearly, as accurately as possible, and from them to analyze, distinguish, and decide or take a position for the best. In relation to authenticity, it would be a perception and the para-perception of making a communication in such a way to respect the limit of the other to understand what is said. Because when we think about authenticity, it's a neutral concept. A person can be authentic, but acting in a wrong way or in a bad intention. So, or saying things with an anti-cosmoethical intention or in a wrong time. So it's very important when I am authentic to have self-discernment. And because of this, it's important to say, to ask myself, what's my intention? So we can ask to us, it's the right moment to say, how is this communication be passed on? It's a demand, it's a requirement. What is the real intention of what I am doing, of what I am saying, of what I am thinking? So, we can ask, is the intention cosmoethical? It's an information that will help the other person. In which way will help? So analyzing the intention of thinking, speaking, acting can be a good position to evaluate our level of cosmoethic. There is a technique, I will talk about it later, that help us a lot to evaluate this level of cosmoethic in our intentionality. And transparent positioning, having or assuming a transparent or coherent position before ourselves and other consciousness. It means intraphysical consciousness and extraphysical consciousness. In other words, showing ourselves as we really are and evaluating with self-discernment the results of our actions with the person, with a group, in a group or in a context. Next one. So in the next 2 slides, we will point out some positive aspects of being authentic. Comparability, yes, authenticity is essential to build a relationship with mutual trust with the helpers. They know everything about us, so if the relationship isn't authentic, we can say that we are connected with helpers. It could be blind guides or intruders. So this mutual trust, it's necessary to be authentic to have this mutual trust with our helpers. Cosmoethic intentionality, already spoken, so We can talk more about this when I will explain the technique. It's a very good, in fact, it's a very good, important to achieve consciential authenticity. Then we have interassistentiality. In relation to them here, or to cosmoethical authenticity, I would like to stress here that authenticity contributes greatly to the transition from console task or consolation task to clarity task or clarify task, so that we don't need more to look nice, as not to lose our idealized image. We can express ourselves freely because we are aware of our intentionality. That's the main point. So the cosmoethic position or interassistential intention give us the power, we can say like this, the self-confidence to be authentic. Openness, being open to new knowledge, to new interactions without prejudices or a priorisms, or adopting a new neophilic posture without fear of the new. Thinking about openness in relation to authenticity, not being afraid of know ourselves, our difficulties, vulnerabilities, traits, defense mechanisms, but at the same time, our strong traits, our skills, our potentialities. So being open to be us as a whole consciousness. Self-coherence, if I am coherent, I have no conflicts between what I think and what I communicate or what I transmit with my energy or through my energy pattern. Hiding demands a lot of energy, and is the gateway to intrusion. So conscientiously speaking, identification and reflection on incoherence and self-corruption can be a good starting point to evaluate the level of our consciential authenticity. The next. Self-confidence. When a person allies self-confidence with authenticity and cosmoethical intentionality, they gain self-confidence. There is a de-dramatization of who we are. We are open to identify and recycle what's necessary to improve our evolution, and maybe others too. Self-intrusion occurs in this way because it's nothing to hide, and the person does not pretend to be someone they aren't. Self-incorruptibility. Self-corruption, as previously mentioned, are contradictions. In short, the person does not respect themselves. What I want to say, what does it mean? If I know that something is not good for me, through my experience, and I keep doing this, or I don't do different, so I understand that I am not respecting myself. When a person wants to assume consciential authenticity, there is no more room for self-corruption. Self-perception, authenticity occurs by increasing self-perception the consciousness is open to see themselves as they really are. In self-positioning is the assumption of the consciential reality itself. The person takes a position that respects their knowledge, their will, their understanding about evolution process, and mostly this position helps the identification of the existential program or proaxis. It means when a person acts close to their consciential authenticity as a consciousness in evolution, they have more chance to be a completist. It means they have more chance to identify what they want to do here, what they have as a praxis. In the next 4 slides, we will present some techniques that we can use or apply in which self-conscientiotherapy cycle or phase. It's the cycle, but we can apply in each phase. So the first phase is self-investigation, and I have mentioned here 3 techniques. Holosomatic checkup technique is a procedure to investigate and check in the whole holosoma using self-discernment to evaluate each vehicle, in this case related to authenticity, to check the consistency or the coherence between them. Self-conscientiotherapy diary technique is the daily detailed recording of facts, perceptions, para-perceptions related to personal manifestation. In particular here, both authentic and inauthentic, in order to identify in which situation, with which people it's easier to be authentic or it's more difficult, and how authenticity or inauthenticity manifests itself. Experienced values investigation technique is a procedure of the intraphysical consciousness to define the highest priority behind acts or decisions, highlighting the values that guide their choices, how authentic they are in relation to the current evolutionary condition. Before we have a question here now. Could you explain a little more about the transparent positioning related to qualifying of authenticity, if possible, giving an example? Maybe we can finish the techniques presentation, yeah, and then we can I can answer. Okay. So self-diagnosis, we have also 3 techniques. Self-docent checkup technique, using self-discernment and parapsychism to make a self-diagnosis of the patterns. So I can ask, what's my predominant pattern or docent pattern? So I will analyze my docenity, my thoughts, my sentiments, and my energies. With this technique, we can evaluate what's the real pattern is, and if there are some influence from the multidimensionality in them. Self-intentionality checkup technique is the technique that I told before, that we make 3 questions. Why am I thinking or acting in this way? What for? And for whom? So when I ask these 3 questions, I can evaluate the real intention of my actions, or also my way to think. So it's easier. This technique helps us to analyze where or if we are self-corruption, and the level of self-corruption we are manifesting. Pseudo-games identification technique. It's a good technique to apply when the evolution has already self-diagnosis and has a difficulty to confront or to letting go this anti-evolutive manifestation. So the procedure is to analyze in a rational way in the context and do a list of gains and losses from the evolutionary point of view, regarding to certain conditions that the consciousness wants to maintain. And in this way, the consciousness consider that these conditions that they want to maintain are adventures or good, but in fact they are false. They are secondary gains, or anti-evolutive gains. Sometimes also deviant from the pro-axis. Self-confrontation phase, it's the first phase, and we have here also 3 techniques. Authentic self-expression technique is a procedure, a technical procedure of the evolution to expose, to explain, to express in an authentic, clear, and transparent way thoughts, sentiments, and intentions based on cosmoethics and interassistance. Here, stressing again that authenticity is a neutral position, so this intention that I use my authentic manifestation, it's very important to emphasize. Continuous self-vigilance technique, act, effect, or permanent vigilance, conditioned vigilance that the consciousness maintain, or keep this vigilance in order not to repeat the same errors or the same mistakes. And vibrational state technique. This is the procedure to maximize our energy, or the energies of our energosoma, in order to achieve the vibrational state, and we can increase our lucidity and our holosomatic balance using this technique. And self-overcoming is overcoming indicators technique. is a procedure of listing, practical, because the actions that we program to do in this phase, they need to be actions that we can really apply, we can really put in practice. They are not a theory, but they are possible to apply. And doing this technique, we can measure the overcoming in the process that we are dealing with, that we are confronting. So this is a technique that we can do also when we are applying the self-confrontation technique. We can analyze at the same time these indicators. Okay, to finalize the presentation, we have this ORTHOPENSATA from Professor Valdo. Authenticity is the interiority that transpires concretely in the exteriority of consciential life. So now I will answer the question okay, we have 2 questions. Yeah. Could you explain a little more about the transparent positioning related to the qualification of authenticity, if possible, giving an example? Okay, transparent position here, what I mean, when we are doing self-conscientiotherapy, for example, it's important that we be completely open, completely transparent with ourselves, to see ourselves as a whole, in our weak traits, in our consciential diseases, and at the same time in our strong traits and potentialities. This is a transparent position. I have nothing to hide more. Yeah, and the qualification of authenticity. So knowing myself, knowing about what are the things that I need to deal with, to cope with, or to improve, I can qualify my authenticity. Or it means I know I have my authenticity when I have a transparent position. I am like this. Okay, it means I am authentic like this. But my authenticity is qualified, thinking as a consciousness in evolution. Am I qualifying this authenticity in order to improve my evolution, to improve evolution of others? So in this way, it's important to qualify. And qualifying authenticity, I mean here, analyzing the intention of my attitudes, of my docenity, and promoting assistance, self-assistance and hetero-assistance. In this way, I have said that achieving consciential authenticity is a process, because this qualifying is something that, or is a process that we are understanding little by little, according to our comprehension, understanding, maturity, level of maturity, level of priority, all my values, all those things are in a package to analyze the qualification, or to improve the qualification of authenticity. If I am not clear enough, please let me know. Yeah. And the other question, can you give some examples of possible pseudo gains of the inauthentic person? Okay, maybe we can say, okay, I have all of us have a family group, for example, né? And we identify that we want to do some work in conscientiology, for example, because we understand that it's part of our praxis, and but I am not, I allowed myself not enough to say that this is a priority for me. And for example, I have a pseudo gain not to put myself in a conflict or in confrontation with a group or a person that doesn't understand well what is my intentionality to do this work, this volunteer work, for example. Né? So I can have a pseudo gain, not to letting go this comfort zone, for example, or this understanding that I have about evolution. Yeah? I don't know if it's clear, it's okay. So now we have some information about OIC. Is a consensus-centric institution, non-profit, based on volunteer work. It's a parascientific and non-politic institution. The specialty is conscientiotherapeutology. Every institution has their specialty, and OIC has conscientiotherapeutology as a specialty. The goal is here, research, clarification, and dissemination of the specialty. And OIC was founded in 2003. Here we have the information about the next lecture. Will be in November 14. It's also Saturday at the same time, 11 a.m. until 2 p.m. with the them holosomatic balance. OIC offers some online activities. One of them is self-consensiotherapy consultation. It's a personalized online meeting with 2 consensotherapists, and these consultations can be scheduled by OIC website. OIC have a whole English website where you can access, it's the link there to access, and there you can have some information and some contents about the institution and about consensotherapy. Here we have a photo with some consensotherapists made in Foz do Iguaçu, but OIC has also offices in São Paulo and in Rio de Janeiro, where we offers attendances, online or presential attendances. So we are finalizing our lecture today, and I would like to thank you all for the participation and say that you are all welcome.